Welcome, everybody, to the Harrisonburg Rotary Club. Nice to see so many people here on a sunny day after a soggy weekend. And you all will get tired of hearing my voice today because it's a lot of me. I apologize for that already, but we have a lot of things we're going to try to accomplish. Some new members, some perfect attendance. And so we look forward to that. But let's start with joining me in the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Beneficial to all concerned. Today's song is led by Don Meyerhofer, My Country 'Tis of Thee. It is of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where thy fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let's be amen. Now let's turn to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the United States, to the republic for which it stands, indivisible. And today's invocation is by Jonas Borntrager. Amen. Thank you. Dan, would you come up and announce our guests and visitors?
Good afternoon, everybody. We have a couple guests today. Maynard has a guest. You want to introduce, please? Welcome, Mike. And Ken Horst has a guest today. Ken, do you want to introduce your guest, please? Oh, two guests. Okay, one. Great. Welcome, Ken, and welcome, Annette, a new member. Great to have you.
Yeah, Ken, that was my fault. I told her not to introduce Annette as a guest because she's one of us now. But anyhow, it's all good. We look forward to our new members that we'll call up here in a minute. So before we get into that, just want to open it up again for any family of Rotary announcements, anything going on out there that we should know about? I heard, Steve, but I don't know details. Would you share a couple things? Okay. That was Tim McAvoy for those that didn't hear Steve. Yep. Past president and a very faithful member. So let's keep Tim in our prayers, and thanks for sharing that, Steve. Yeah, hate to hear that. So anything else? So with that said, the continual announcement for the service hours, you hear that every week. Keep doing it. The things that you do in your community. This Thursday, Mulligan's is our club social, and we got a great response. Right now, it looks like we're over 60 members and guests. And so it's going to be a great event. And if you want to come, still come see me after the meeting today. Probably that's about as late as we could go, but Mulligan said they're graciously can add people up till tomorrow morning. So it's going to be a great event. We have a pavilion for 2 hours, meal provided, unlimited miniature golf, 4 of the bays of their new technology golf driving range. It's a lot of fun. So hopefully you'll come out and enjoy being with us. Service opportunity. Now, I had said last time that we try not to do last minute announcements, but United Way, we serve the Adagio House effectively. Come on up, Noah. And there's a follow-up project this Saturday that you'll have a chance to volunteer. And then we're going to start looking further ahead. In November, there's another service opportunity being discussed. So Noah, talk to us about that.
Yeah. So this Saturday, it'll be 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at the Adagio House. There will be a sign up, but if you'd like to volunteer for that, please come and see me after the meeting. These projects are going to be small. It's an opportunity for somebody to have an opportunity to serve every month, but we're not expecting every member of Rotary to attend every month's project. So we're looking every month for about 4 to 10 people. And that's exactly what I need for this Saturday. It's 4 to 10 people to help. We're going to paint the inside trim of some windows at the Adagio House. So you won't need to be outside, which would be great. They're going to provide all the materials. So just get in touch with me after the meeting. And then for our November service project, it will be on the 6th, which is a Sunday. Chaz and Quentin have been talking back and forth about what can we do in light of Veterans Day being in November. And so there is going to be a Veterans Day parade on November 6th, and they do need help lining veterans up and getting ready for the parade and handling a lot of the facilitation of that day. So be on the lookout for further announcements of that day, but just keep on your calendars. November 6th is an opportunity to help in our community.
Thanks, Noah, and really appreciate you and Quentin getting us back energized to service again. You know, during the pandemic, we didn't do a lot, and so we're starting to ramp it up, and it really, really feels good. With that said, I'm going to announce a couple of perfect attendance awards, and if you would stand if you're here and see Michael now or after the meeting, we have Marshall Yoder, 5 years. Steve Hoddle, 14 years. Very good. And I'll announce Sue Toddy for 8 years. I don't think she's here, but well done, everybody, for perfect attendance. And with that said, as you know, later on, we're going to do some club updates from our strategic planning. But first, we've got a couple of new members that we're going to induct today. And so we're thankful. I'm going to invite first Ken Horst and Annette to come up, and we'll do the induction, and then we'll hear their thumbnail sketch. So as you come up, I'm going to read the official Rotary induction. So bear with me. Fellow Rotarians, it's my privilege and pleasure today to welcome into membership into our club Annette Reed, whose name was proposed by Ken Horst. We are pleased to welcome Annette as a new member of our club. Annette, you have been approved for membership in this club because we believe you to be a worthy representative of your vocation, interested in the ideals of Rotary, and willing to actively participate in the service activities of this club. Rotary's official motto is service above self. The object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise, and in particular, to encourage and foster first, the development of acquaintance as an opportunity for service. Secondly, high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of the worthiness of useful occupation, and the dignifying of each Rotarian's occupation as an opportunity to serve society. Third, the application of the ideal of service in each Rotarian's personal, business, and community life. Fourth, the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world fellowship of business and professional persons united in the ideals of service. We will now induct you into the membership in the Rotary Club of Harrisonburg, Virginia, and to the Fellowship of Rotary throughout the world. So Ken, would you please present our new member with the Rotary pin and with your plaque with your four-way test. And as he does that, will the members rise, please? Annette, we welcome to the Rotary Club of Harrisonburg, fellow Rotarians. I'm happy to present you our newest member. And Annette, if you'd like to leave it on the table as you come give us your thumbnail sketch, come on up.
I love the Rotarian motto, service over self or above self. I'm a wife and a mother of 5 grown children and a granny to a 2-year-old grandson. So I know just a little bit about what service over self means. It kind of went to extremes one time. I remember being in my kitchen and getting a text from my teenage daughter who was right above me in her bedroom. Of course, you know that texting is a preferred method of communication for this generation. So she texted, "Mom, can you please bring me up a hot cup of tea? My throat hurts." So, you know, what's a mom to do, right? Well, I'll tell you in just a bit. I want to keep you guessing. So I'm eager to get to know each of you over time. Now, it's going to take a while because there's a lot of you. But first, here's a bit about me. I'm originally from the Belleville, Lewistown, Pennsylvania area. I went to nursing school at EMC, which is now EMU, so I'm dating myself a bit here. I met my husband, Rich, there, and he was engaged to my college roommate at that time, but he ended up becoming my husband, but that's another story for another time. So we moved to Wilmore, Kentucky after we were married, where Rich finished up his Master of Divinity degree at Asbury Theological Seminary. And I put hubby through working as a nurse at the University of Kentucky Medical Center in Lexington. So our first church assignment was near York, Pennsylvania. Then we were assigned to a church in the Shenandoah Valley, so we were back at our old stomping grounds. I served as a pastor's wife alongside my husband for 17 years. I have worked as a nurse in various settings, including neurology and neurosurgery, rehabilitation, crisis stabilization, geriatrics, and also Western State Hospital. And that's where I met Ken's wife, Sue. But most important, my job has been being a mom to our 5 children. I stayed home during most of their growing up years. So I practiced my nursing skills on them, and fortunately they survived. So we live in Broadway now. I left Western State Hospital a few years ago to pursue full-time health coaching. Sue Horst got in touch with me a while back regarding Ken's health, and he became one of my star clients. So he was my contact for Rotary, and it's why I'm here today. So sometimes you just never know where your path will lead or what opportunities will come along. So I have been involved with a lot of community service over the years. Currently, I'm a group leader for Celebrate Recovery, which is a faith-based 12-step group for folks with any kind of hurt, habits, and hangups. I facilitate the Women's Mixed Issues group, and this meets at the Cornerstone Church of Harrisonburg every Thursday evening. My husband serves as a case manager at the Harrisonburg Rockingham Community Service Board, working with the mentally ill in the area. He had stepped down from ministry after what should have been a fatal heart attack at age 40, but by the grace of God, he's still here today. That incident was a big part of my decision to become a health coach when the opportunity came along. Our program offered him the tools and structure that he needed to make necessary lifestyle changes. So this has become my passion. So did I or did I not take the hot cup of tea upstairs to my poor, sick, dying daughter? I did. You know, you got to spoil your kids. And I guess even then I was a Rotarian in training. So it's nice to be here.
Thank you, Annette. That was great. And I don't want to deny Jake the opportunity, nor each of you, for me to read this again. So I'm going to do it. So come on up, Jake and Nathan Blackwell, because Jake deserves the full effect. So here we go. I've watched you do this many times, Braden, and you do it well. But fellow Rotarians, it's also my privilege and pleasure today to welcome into membership in our club, Jake Chandra, proposed by Nathan Blackwell. We are pleased to welcome to him as a new member of our club. Jake, you have been approved for membership of this club because we also believe that you to be a worthy representative of your vocation, interested in the ideals of Rotary, willing to actively participate in the service of this club. Rotary's official motto is service above self. The object is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise, and in particular to encourage and foster, number one, first, the development of acquaintance as an opportunity for service. Second, high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of the worthiness of all useful occupation, and the dignifying of each Rotarian's occupation as an opportunity to serve society. Third is the application of the ideal of service in each Rotarian's personal, business, and community life. Fourth, the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world fellowship of business and professional persons united in the ideal of service. We will now induct you into the membership of the Rotary Club of Harrisonburg and to the Fellowship of Rotary throughout the world. Nathan, please present our new member with the pen as I present you with the four-way test plaque. Please stand, Rotarians, and welcome Jake Chandra as a new club member. Come on up, Jake. For the
All right. I know I've had the pleasure meeting some of you here, not everybody yet. So we'll be looking forward to that as we go along. Most good stories start from the beginning. So I'll keep it brief, but we'll start at the beginning. I was born in California in the 80s. What a time. About 40 miles outside of LA. I didn't live there very long. When I was just a little guy, we moved across the country to the East Coast. And I grew up in Northern Virginia, outside of DC, very close to Quantico. That was my home for about 12 years until I found my way down to the Shenandoah Valley. At that time, I was 16 years old, and all I really wanted to do was go back to Northern Virginia and be with my friends and kind of live the life that I knew up there. Didn't really last too long. You know, after a couple of years being down in the Shenandoah Valley, realized pretty quick that I did not want to be living in Northern Virginia, did not want to be back on the West Coast at all. And this is kind of where I wanted to live and make my home. I guess by about the time, you know, late teens, early 20s, my family had kind of morphed into this iteration of the Brady Bunch, but on steroids, where between, you know, stepbrothers, half sisters, everything, adopted family, ended up with about 12 siblings, 6 brothers and 6 sisters, which is a pretty interesting group when we all get together. In fact, actually, there's about 20 years between my youngest brother and myself. My mom was actually going to keep having kids until she passed that torch to me when I got married and started having a few of my own. And she said, okay, well, he's got some playmates. We don't have to keep this train going. So anyhow, ended up, you know, staying here in the Valley. Although my first wife and I decided that we were, you know, better apart than we were together. I was able to find love again, and my wife Sarah and I just celebrated our 7 years of marriage last month. Pretty exciting. She is a nurse practitioner, and she also is a professor at JMU for their graduate nursing program. Together in our blended family, we've got 4 kids, a 16-year-old daughter, a 14-year-old son, a 6.5-year-old son, and an almost 5-year-old daughter. So for those of you that have had kids that have grown up and gotten their licenses and driven on their own. Keep us in your prayers and watch out. Yeah, I'll show you a picture of the minivan later. Wasn't pretty. Anyhow, as far as work and stuff goes, I've done quite a bit of things in over the last 20 years or so. Seemed like in my younger days, I really bounced around. I'd go learn something, and whenever I got bored of it or felt like I'd learned most of what I needed to know, I'd go do something else. Kept doing that for a while until HVAC found me. That was, I guess, a little more than 8 years ago now. The previous owner of XL Company, I was one of the first guys that he'd hired, and I didn't know anything about HVAC, but he had told me at the time about the company that he was desiring to build as far as the quality and customer service and stuff goes. And at that point, I was working for a big national company that was very much, more about numbers than about people, which, just never really sat that well. And so, coming over to XL was an easy choice for me. Then fast forward 8 years later, and my wife and I actually had the opportunity to purchase XL Heating and Cooling earlier this year. And we're very excited about the vision of what we want to make a positive heating and cooling company here, and how we intend to serve our community and our customers through that. So outside of work, I like to read a lot. So if you guys have got a great book, I know Ash and I were talking about them last week. But yeah, I love to read. I'm trying to be more active as I get older, and my kids are increasingly harder to keep up with, working on those challenges. Outside of that, though, it's our family loves music. We love art. We love games of any and all kinds, and we just love being together. I've obviously got a lot of brothers and sisters, and now nieces and nephews, and we all spend a fair amount of time together on a regular basis. I was first obviously invited here by Nathan Blackwell, the Rotary, and kind of showing up my very first day and looking around and getting to meet some people and shake hands, and obviously reading our banners that we have here, and the four-way test was the very first thing that grabbed me. When you look at the values and everything that Rotary represents, it was just one of those things that instantly just resonated with me. It was like, man, that's something I could really get behind, would really like to be a part of. I don't know, it's almost weird to me that they seem so universally applicable. Like, why would anybody not want to be a part of something like this? So I'm really looking forward to again, what XL can do, how I can serve my community, and being a part of a group with other people that are like-minded and high morals and high character. So appreciate you guys letting me join, and look forward to many years here.
Great job, Jake. Thank you for sharing with us. With that said, the main agenda for the meeting will be a little bit of an update on our board retreat that we had, and a chance at the end for you guys to give some feedback. We'd love to hear thoughts from you. And I'm going to move pretty quick, try to leave 5 or 10 minutes at the end. So when I agreed to be in line to be the Rotary president a couple of years ago, all of us, Braden would say, Quentin told me before that, you're never quite prepared, because you're just trying to get yourself prepared until you walk in it. It's been good, but it became clear to me and some others like Braden and Quentin and Andy Van Hook that it'd been a very long time since the club had done a board retreat. So we were able to get folks together in late July. We hired a facilitator named Jennifer Tesla, who's a professional. She's done great work, I think, United Way, the Chamber of Commerce, and she led us through an exercise. And part of it included is breaking this up into small groups. And we had complete board attendance, except for I think maybe 1 or 2 that had a conflict. We also invited a guest or two. Andy Van Hook, who was not officially on the board, joined us. and Stephanie Bird, who's a friend who has been a longtime Rotarian, who I'm hopeful may be a Rotarian again, also joined us. And it was a really great discussion. And we ended the meeting by throwing these brainstormed ideas onto the wall on a bunch of papers, broken down into various categories. And then those that were present got a chance to put their name, their check besides the three that they think are the most important. And so then we sort of summarized that discussion into leading us into what are the things that we think are the most important as a club for us to focus on. Because, you know, if you try to do everything, you don't do anything well. So the notes from that I will touch on very, very quickly. One of the categories is membership. So we know that at the end of the day, why are we here? And I believe that this community needs Rotary. If you look back in the years of what we've done, plugging holes in society, filling gaps, serving, the community needs us. And I think as an individual, I need to be a part of it. I think I'm a better person. So, you know, we're not just trying to get members because obviously we have plenty of retirements. So, but we need more bodies to help us carry the mission. So membership is one of the things that is high on the list. And so Braden, our past president, along with Michael Sharp, are working at some initiatives to try to find ways to actively build membership. Along with that, increasing publicity was one of the top agenda items. And we just met today with another small group to dig into that deeper. One of the persons who is a new member is Mike Mariella, who actually is a professional at creating marketing and vision for how to promote organizations. So he's going to be a great counselor to us and already was today. So we're going to be looking at things like, for example, getting back in the DNR. There's been a lot of changes there at the DNR, so we have to find that connection. But it used to be that you always knew what was going on at the Harrisonburg Rotary Club. And also looking at ways to use social media. How could we be more relevant to the people that we want to attract? And we'll talk later about diversity. So we want to get a little younger and we want to get more female members, other races. So just today, thank you, Annette, a female member, and Jake, somebody who's younger than 50. So I think younger than 40 actually, but I didn't want to guess. So we're already starting to walk in our goals here. So that was one of the other items we talked about is how do we be more relevant and current in sharing the message of what Rotary does. There's so many good things that Rotary's done over the years that a lot of people just don't know about. And so it's important. The third item that made the list was opening up speakers to the public. And so we're talking about an idea both in the paper to have a chance for people that want to come visit. So we talked about the pros and cons of that, right? If we get 15 people, we would flood the lunch. We wouldn't have enough, but that's not likely to happen. But if we get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people that show up because there's an interesting speaker that may want to become a member, we think that's worth it. So that's something that we're still in discussion. The second major heading was diversity, age, race, and gender. So one of the things that came was identify women and minority-owned businesses and send out personal invitations. That's one that I'm working on. Progress has been slow. I've got a couple of contacts that I've made, but the idea is we want to be an open and welcoming club to make sure that people that don't look like me, most of us look like me, and we don't want that. So no, that's not true. We do want that, but we want people to look different and be a welcoming place. So that is one of the things too that specifically Michael Sharp and Braden will be also talking about in some of their work. An idea was to create unique service partnerships, like perhaps with the Northeast Neighborhood Association. How do we do it differently? Whatever we've been doing, I know this club, I've been a member for 15 years. It's not that we're not welcoming. It's not that we want to exclude anybody, but somehow what we've been doing hasn't been delivering any different results. So how can we creatively do that? So that's one of the initiatives. and targeting service projects to diverse communities. So that's the second heading, membership, diversity. The third one is attendance, members and business thumbnails or service above self or four-way tests. The idea is to do more frequent updates about Rotary and to hear more from you all. Many of us, I love hearing the thumbnails from Annette and Jake this morning, but even to go back and hear somebody we haven't heard from a while, just to give an update about their testimony of why Rotary's been important to them. We also talked about forming a program committee to help select our speakers. The general consensus is that Rodney and his team have done great, but just to broaden that, so Rodney's already working at adding some names to a group of people that would also help process new ideas for speakers. And then the third idea there was Rotary minutes. And Michael's already stepped up a little bit in the rotograph. You see just some Rotary tidbits, but we might get some of that even more from the podium here just to inform and educate our members. So those were the action items from our board retreat. And as many of you know that, you're working in your businesses, how do you find time to do the things that are on your plate in your business? Those of us are volunteering. We're stealing for minutes. So I appreciate that and I understand that, but we're going to keep them moving forward and try to make sure we advance these ideals. I have one more announcement I want to make to the club, and then I want to open it up for questions about what I shared. Like, feel free to challenge, what do you mean by this or that? Or have you thought of this or that? Before I do, one of the things that's been talked about in our board is the Strawberry Festival. So what we realize is in the last 3 years, the proceeds have dropped. The volunteerism has dropped. And secondly, we have taken on the Valley Fest. And those are back-to-back weekends. It's very challenging to staff as it is with a club to do it back-to-back weekends. I'm going to get this close, but our club benefited our community from Valley Fest about $32,000, John Rosenberger. 33.5. Strawberry Festival, 7 or 10. About 10,000 from the Strawberry Festival. So now, I don't want to make light of $10,000, but relative to the effort, now, what was discussed is the Strawberry Festival represents us. It's a community event. It's more visible. Massanutten, we're there just serving, and a lot of the people we're serving, we don't even know. So that is a factor. So one of the discussions has been a fall festival to move our charity events away from back-to-back weekends. Still doing it downtown, still being a presence in the community, possibly combining that with a hunger initiative. It's harvest season. The caution has been, don't do it when the relief sale weekend is. True. Don't do it Dayton days. So that's clear. But that's something that has been discussed with the other clubs favorably. So I just wanted to mention that's not something that the club has made a firm decision on, but I wanted to give a little turning signal too on that one item. So with that said, that's a lot of information. Questions, comments, new ideas. Love to hear from you guys.
With the, I guess, different thoughts on a fall festival with some of the different clubs, would you think all of the local clubs would go together and do something?
Yeah, so here's the reality is the Strawberry Festival is all of us. Dave Larson, Braden, what percentage of volunteers are from our club typically? 80%. And even the Great Day of Sharing, that is another thing that dropped during the pandemic that could be resurrected, is typically 90% our club. Now, one of the more active clubs also has, I think which one has the soapbox derby? Rockingham. That also is right near the Strawberry Festival. So they're also relieved. I think we will get, Nathan, I think we will get buy-in from the other clubs, but it might still be proportionate. I mean, just an update for you folks. We're about 150 members, including the satellite club. Satellite club is probably 45. This is round numbers. I'm close. Rockingham Club might be 30 couple members, 33. Harrisonburg, Massanutten, 20. Yeah. Okay. So the Rockingham Club is about 30, 35 members. The Harrisonburg Massanutten Club is 25. Bridgewater Club is maybe 30. Is it down to 20 now? And their club is not extremely active. I say that they meet regularly. A lot of those clubs, by the way, have now gone twice a month. That's something that our board also talked about. I welcome comments there. We felt committed to staying weekly. Bridgewater is twice a month. Rockingham is twice a month. Good question, Nathan. Ash.
You talked about publicizing the speakers that are coming in here on a weekly basis as a means to garner and attract some attention, ideally having people come through the doors. What was discussed in terms of someone perhaps being like gatekeeper, maybe having an RSVP email to mitigate a flood of folks coming
Yeah,
through the doors?
That's exactly right. We were going to put the email that Michael gets, because Michael is the most dependable person in this club. I mean that. And so, yes, that's absolutely. So whether it's social media on a Friday, hey, here's what we're doing at Rotary, or in the paper, there's a place to call so they don't just show up and flood us. Yeah, that's the idea. Dan.
The club that I came from in California, our fall fundraiser was an Oktoberfest, which was kind of easy to do. Beer and bratwurst, and we had a German band that came in, and we made about $40,000. People were interested in it, so that might be an idea. And for membership, our club stressed that everybody in the club is on the membership committee. And when you brought a new guest in, you got like about 6 months off of your club due. So we kind of made an incentive for getting new people. So
Great
like
idea.
Ken gets six months off. Anyhow, just a couple ideas.
That's what we're looking for. Actually, Braden can use that. I mean, again, we can't use every idea, but keep them coming. That's great. We probably have time for one more. I don't want to hold anybody hostage. I know what that's like. Noah.
Well, 6 months is a lot, but the dues are definitely a barrier for younger
Yes.
members. So somebody like me, if I don't have a business or somebody else sponsoring me, it's pretty steep. So has there been any talk
Yes.
about maybe I don't know, somebody being sponsored for the first year if they're under 25 or if they're a young professional, something like that to recruit more younger members and make it more feasible for them to join?
That's a great idea. John Rosenberger a year ago brought us a sample. I think it was you, John, that brought us a sample of what that could look like. That is clearly on the table. It's on the, I mean, there are complications, but it's a great idea. And I think it's being considered. If anybody has a quick burning one more. Okay. Again, thank you for listening. And you know how to find me if you think that these are the worst ideas you ever heard, or you want to go another direction. Please find me and get your questions to me. Thanks again for attending. Ken, good to see you. Mike, good to see you. Thanks for visiting, and hope you guys will join. You would be great members. We're adjourned.